My name's Victoria Herndon, and I grew up in San Antonio. I've lived here my whole life. I am married. We've been married for 30 years this year, and I have 2 children that we waited years to have. So they were just awesome gifts, really surprises in the good way. I grew up doing art. That's kind of been my thing since I was about 3 years old. And it never went away. It's a passion of mine. My daughter's an artist, my father's an artist, along with a lot of my siblings. So it's definitely a genetic thing, it appears to me. I just love talking, being with people, and just enjoying people. That's probably my favorite hobby. I began to have trouble with memory and speech, and I had a little bit of a shake in my hand. And for several years I just kind of minimized it, which is my MO. So I finally decided I'm going to go see a neurologist and try to figure out this memory thing or this language thing. I wasn't even afraid. I just thought, I'll get it checked out. Let's see what's going on. They ordered an MRI. And in between the time that the MRI was ordered and the time I actually had it done, I began to have some more severe problems. I had my first seizure. I've learned since then that that's usually the first sign that something's wrong that shows up with someone with my diagnosis. So when I finally had the MRI done, I get a phone call from the neurologist who tells me that he got the results back and that there was a growth in my brain, that he wanted me to see a neurosurgeon. I went in, and he's really witty. He put the 2 films up there, and he said, see this? See this? You've got something growing in your noggin. I was like, that's an interesting way to put it. So he just said, you're going to want it taken out. You might want it taken out next week, next month, next year. It's your decision because it's your life. So I went ahead and had that appointment scheduled with the other neurosurgeon. What had happened is I'd seen a lot of different doctors. I'd seen 3 different neurologists, and then here I'm going to see my second neurosurgeon. And the hard thing was, I want to make sure and say, is that everyone assumed that someone had had the first appointment with me to explain what was going on. And it actually wasn't until October of 2016 that I realized I have cancer. I was told from the very start that it was inoperable because of where it was located. So if I had surgery, it would be as though the tumor had already progressed to the extreme, and I would have all sorts of problems, even maybe impacting my personality. I just said to my doctor, well, he came in and he said, I've been really dreading talking to you all day because I really like you. And he said, but I have to tell you that your tumor has indeed developed into a grade 4 glioblastoma. And my response was, okay, now what? I couldn't have surgery. And they didn't even want to do a biopsy because of the area of the brain the tumor is located in. I did go to get a second opinion. So he did a new scan, just a new MRI to have the most recent image. And when he got it back, I met with him and he said, we're not going to touch it, that there's no margin for error at all. So I have 2 surgeons who've told me not to have surgery, that was not a reasonable decision. It took a while for it to soak in what's really going on, and even now I'm having some trouble letting it soak in. I mean, the hard thing is I have young kids, and if it weren't for them, I'd be like, I'm out of here. You know, heaven's a much better place to live. But for their sake, I don't want to go anywhere. You know, we always kind of, I don't know, jokingly said all Disney movies start out with kids who are orphans or who've lost a parent. And I don't want that to be my kid's story. You know, of course, I'd love to see them get married, graduate from college, get married, have kids. You know, I want to be there for them to support them through raising their kids and helping to plan the weddings and, that sort of thing. Just, I can't believe it's my story. You just kind of go like, this is my life. Last year, their dad almost died twice. I mean, he loves our kids so much. He's never been harsh with them. He's just very loving and playful. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better father for my kids. And then he almost died twice last year because of a heart problem, defect. The problem that he has is still continuing, and he's got a 18 times more chance of dying of a blood clot than the average person because of some genetic defects that they found. I know there's a God in heaven, and he knows my name, and he's had a plan for me before I was even born, and nobody can mess up that plan. Nobody can hold back his hand or question what he's doing, and that he loves me and he loves my family. We're all broken, even those of us who experience healing. It's not perfect until heaven. We're all broken, but we don't have to be alone. We could be with each other. And that's the thing that I think gives me joy, is experiencing love and not being alone. Those things, knowing God loves me and not being alone and being loved, which I have experienced. I have the best friends and the best family. That brings me joy. That's why I can smile. I don't know how, but it's happening, I think if I could leave a message to my kids, I would say, I think I'd want them to know I tried, I tried. I wanted to be here, I wanted to be here. I tried. And I'll always be with you. I'll always love you. And there's something I used to tell my daughter all the time, that our hearts, and I would tell my son too, that our hearts are tied together, that when they were in my womb, we were connected by a cord, and that now we're connected by heartstrings, and that heartstrings will always be as long as they have to be and as strong as they have to be. I can't tell them goodbye. I refuse to do that. But there's things I'm just not in control of. And I just would tell them if I could have been here for them, I would have stayed forever. As long as I wasn't a burden to them. Like, I would like to live to be 100 years old. I don't want them to make a movie about me that's sad. I want to have a movie made that gives other people hope. It helps them not to give up. I mean, that's what I really want my life to also be about, is don't give up. Don't give up hope. We're here for each other. You don't have to do it alone. And there is always hope. I want my kids to remember that I love them. That's the most important thing. I just want them to know I love them. And I would have loved them even more if I were humanly capable. And I treasure every bit of time we've gotten to be together. I've really treasured.